What is up, Ravens? Welcome back to Wake Up. I feel like I just said that. I'm Harrison Green, joined alongside Dayton Bohr, Kyle Elliott, and Garrett Faddis. And the Sweet 16 starts tonight. The best time of year for basketball. Boys, are we excited?
Of course.
I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. You know it.
We've got some great games tonight. Starting it off with Purdue, Texas. Purdue, the heavy favorite by actually only 7.5 points, which is crazy for an 11 and a 2 seed. But I'm personally picking Texas. I think Purdue is the most overrated team in the country, and I think Texas is going to get it done.
I agree. I think Sean Miller in March, we saw what he did at Xavier multiple times and at Arizona, even though he got fired there. But I think he's one of the most underrated coaches in the country, and he just comes alive in March.
You know, I don't see how Purdue loses this game. They have Braden Smith, best player in college basketball. And according to Harrison, the most overrated team in the nation, but did just win the Big Ten championship.
The Big Ten, whoa.
I just don't think Texas have the bigs to match up against Purdue. And Braden Smith will always be there and give you numbers. I just don't see how Purdue loses this.
So before we go to you, Garrett, you think Braden Smith
His best player
is better than Darren Peterson?
Yeah.
AJ
Like
DeBanza.
college basketball player. Yes.
Braden Burries.
As a college basketball player, I'm saying with talent, no, but he is such a leader and he's such like a good playmaker. He's like the best player in college basketball.
Too bad Matt Painter can't do anything.
Matt Painter will take him to the Elite Eight.
All right, Garrett.
I'm going with Texas.
Texas. Ooh,
They've been
Texas.
looking hot recently.
This is not what I expected on the panel. We definitely take it though. Texas.
I think that Gonzaga is not a good team. I'm sorry, I just think Gonzaga is so overrated. They played no one and they lost to Portland. Texas win over that was not that impressive.
But against BYU, DeBanza had 35.
I do agree that was a very good win for Texas. I was not expecting to win that. I'll give them that.
Yeah. Shout out Stanley Heath on that one.
BYU absolutely sucks.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. Same place as all the other teams that are eliminated. Here we go. Next game, we got Iowa, Nebraska. Nebraska only favored 1.5. It's the shortest spread of the Sweet 16. So projected to be the closest game. I think Iowa, they've got some great wins this tournament, but I got to take Nebraska. I don't think they're going to get by Nebraska.
I'm also going with Nebraska. Sanford with the 3-ball, and then you got Hoiberg who can dribble it up the lane and can just turn it on whenever he wants to. I think Nebraska wins this one.
Give me Iowa. They
Just
got the
trying to be
better
different.
coach,
Yeah,
they got the
exactly.
better players, and they got the better corn.
Better players?
Better players.
They're at 9.
Bennett Sturt's in that one, they won European dude hit the game winner. They will win this game. Iowa is always dominant to Nebraska in every single rivalry. What happened in football, Iowa killed them this year.
Oh, so football equates to basketball now?
It's just like a big brother, kind of like KU to K-State.
So is K-State better in basketball than KU because they're way better in football?
What?
You compared. So
I'm saying like in the rivalry.
Guys, none of our teams.
Oh, in the rivalry, so 17 straight.
Guys, none of our
K-State
teams are in the.
You guys still gotta go 2 more.
Guys,
years
none
to
of
do
our
this
teams
all
are in the
time.
Sweet 16. Let's just remember, none of our
Yeah,
teams.
that is true.
At least,
Garrett.
at least my team made the tournament.
Garrett.
I'm going Nebraska. I have them going pretty far this season. They look, even though they seem like they're an underrated team, I feel like they're fairly rated, to be honest.
Yeah, I could agree. Kyle, you're a real outlier today, huh?
No, I actually have Iowa in my second chance bracket.
Did not the first chance bracket?
No.
Oh. All right, the final game. The 7.5 point favorites, Arizona taking on Arkansas. Arizona, one of the favorites to win it all, and I think they could seriously win it all if they get hot right now. Arizona's a great team. I'm definitely taking Arizona. I don't think this one's going to be really close in my opinion. I think they're the better team on basically every single part. But Arkansas is a good team. They're not any team they can walk by, but I still think Arizona will come out with the win.
I think this one will come down to whoever is winning with 8 minutes left is going to win the game. I think Braden Burries is really good, but also Darius Acuff's really good. He's kind of resembles Carson Edwards when he was at Purdue a few years ago. He can just take over games. And I think if the only way Arkansas wins this game is Darius Acuff is going to win it for them.
You know, I do agree. I think Arizona is going to get it done because Arizona is one of those teams. They're not going to shoot to like shoot
And they
the
can
three
they can
ball.
also play bad and still win.
They can because they're such a paint heavy team. I just don't think Arkansas has the big play to do that. I do agree Brazil and A-Cup could get hot and can make it pretty interesting. But overall, with Karchenkov, Berries, and Bradley, with
Del
such good
Orso.
power play, but then also with Krivos and Koa Pete, I don't see them stopping that on the inside.
Garrett, what about you?
I'm going with Arizona. I feel like Arkansas is going to put up a little bit of a fight, but I think Arizona's taking it, though.
Yeah, I think Arizona could just pull away at the end, kind of like you said with those 8 minutes. Just I think they could.
I think it's gonna be close, but then I still think Arizona can win by 8 to 10.
Arizona's just such a dominant team this year.
Cruise to that win. All right, final game tonight. I think it's probably going to be my favorite game of the Sweet 16. Illinois-Houston. What a matchup! 2.5-point favorites are Houston. I'm taking Houston, but man, is this going to be a good game.
I want to take Houston, but I also got to go with Brad Underwood, an Illinois K-State grad, longtime assistant coach. I just think Keaton Wagler, really good. I think Illinois' offense has been terrific so far, and I just think Houston's going to have to keep up. Milos Uzan's going to have to keep up, and he's been kind of consistent scoring this year. Joseph Tugler's going to have a big game inside, but I still think Illinois can get it done.
You know, I don't think this Houston team is as tough as some of Kelvin Sampson's teams in the past, but I got to go with the Kansas natives, as Brad Underwood is a McPherson grad and our hometown kid. Keaton Wagler, who went to Shawnee Mission Northwest. He's been an absolute stud this year, and I don't see him stopping. And with the play from the European guys on Illinois, I just don't see them stopping against this, I think, weaker Houston team.
And also, for all the people saying the game is in Houston, that doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Illinois, both teams are going to stay in hotels. You still have to buy. Both teams are buying tickets. It's not a home court advantage just because it's in Houston, in my opinion. I think Illinois can still get it done.
I mean, sorry, Garrett, but building on that point, Houston, they're not, as scrappy or as kind of physical as those former teams, but they are still such a great defensive team.
Don't get me wrong.
And that's why I think I'm really excited for this game. It's because it's such a high-powered offense versus such a great defense. And I think it's just going to be I remember I saw on a show this morning, they were saying unstoppable force versus immovable object. It's literally that. It's probably the best defensive team in the country and the hottest offense in the country. So I think it'll be a great game no matter how you score it. Garrett, what are we thinking?
I think it's a toss-up either. I feel like either team could win it over, but I feel like I'm going to go with Houston on this one.
Whichever team wins this one's going to the Final Four.
Yeah, I could agree with that. All right. Moving on to Friday. We start the day with St. John's and Duke. St. John's not really supposed to be here. Had a great game against the Kansas Jayhawks there. It was a real great one near the end. Just kind of ran past the defender and laid it up. I'm sure you were loving that moment, Kyle. So they're playing Duke. Duke, I still think they're the favorites to win the tournament, if I'm not mistaken. And Duke are the 6.5-point favorites. I'm going to take Duke. I think St. John's run ends here. I think Duke's a great team overall. They got some injuries, but I still think they're going to be able to put it together and beat St. John's.
This game, it's going to be a weird game, I think. This is old blood versus new blood coach with Rick Pitino versus Shire. I think Boozer versus Zuby Ejiofor is going to be the thing that decides this game. If Zuby can score his normal, if he can get 20 and 13, I think they have a good chance. But if not, if Boozer can shut him down, then Duke wins this one.
Yeah, it's absolutely no question. Duke is winning this game. St. John's is such a weak team, and it's actually such a joke that the Kansas Jayhawks lost to them.
Oh, you would say that.
It is such a joke. I mean, they were terrible. They're such a bad three-point shooting team. They just
they just pull games out.
If Trey White didn't have a DraftKings account, we probably would have won it because that dude has robbed games all year. But I just think Duke wins this. I mean, St. John's literally cannot shoot for anything.
I think I'm going Duke as well.
Or Bryce Hopkins. If Bryce Hopkins has a good game with Zuby, then they can win. But that's the only way I see them winning.
I think this is our first sweep on the panel for Duke. So that'll be one of the locks for us this week. Next, another great game against it's just going to be a fun game to watch. Michigan, Alabama. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Shout out Walker McDonald, Alabama. But I'm going to go Michigan. I think Michigan is my favorite to win it. I love Michigan as a team. I think they're going to make a real run. And I think they're going to go to the final. But this Alabama team is not a team to scuff at. They have talent all across. I think they played great last round. And I think they could put up a fight. But Michigan favored by 9.5. I like that line. I think they could win by double digits just there at the edge. But I think they can kind of pull away and keep that lead.
Me personally, I don't think this game's going to be very close. I think Michigan can win by 20, to be honest. I don't think Alabama's a weird team. They've been weird all year. They live and die by the three ball. They can't play any defense, and that's just it's going to come to bite them. I honestly thought they could have lost in the first round, and then they didn't end up losing, but I still just think that Michigan's way better in every aspect.
I agree. I think Michigan will win this game pretty with ease. Alabama, I truly don't think is that great of a team. It's LeBaron final on Aiden Holloway who's selling drugs, and then absolutely
And
nothing.
everybody else.
Nate Oates would be the greatest coach of all time if he could coach a defense. Generally, one of the worst defensive teams I've seen in forever.
That's every year.
They can score 98 points, but they'll give up
104.
104. It's absolutely a joke.
The point
Like
total.
Dayton said, if they're not hitting their threes, the game's already over. They can't come back, and their big play is so terrible this year.
The point total line's 172.5. The second closest game is 145.
Yeah.
So it's definitely
unbelievable.
not supposed to be much of a defensive showing
That's
by
why
either team.
personally I don't think Nate Oates will do a whole lot in March just because of how terrible his defense is. You can't play that many games just completely perfect to get to the national championship.
For sure. Garrett, what about you?
I'm taking Michigan. Alabama has been looking hot in this March Madness, but I don't think they got it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, then we move on to the game that's tied for we're projected to be the closest of the tournament. We got UConn, Michigan State. What a game between two of my favorite teams in college basketball this year. UConn, they're a good team, but I'm going to take Michigan State. I love Michigan State as a team. I think they've looked great in the tournament, and I think they're going to be able to get it done against UConn.
This is a hard one to pick because it really is a toss-up, but I still just think UConn can win this one. I think Alex Karaban, he's one of those guys that he's not going to lose. He's been in March. He knows what it's like. Probably the most experienced player in college basketball. So I just think that he will be he's not going to let them lose.
I agree. I will never, ever bet against Dan Hurley in March Madness. Dude is just different. Even you could give him a team full of bum players, and he still would probably win.
He had that
the
last
game.
year, and they almost beat the national champions in the second round.
Absolutely. And like Dayton said, Alex Karaban's been there, knows what to do. He will always give you numbers up. I personally, Michigan teams, I don't think it's the best. I don't think their big plays good enough. I don't think Jackson Kohler is really that great of a player. But yeah, I gotta go Dan Hurley on
The
this
Jeremy Fears half-court lobs to Cohen Carr is going to be kind of cool to watch, but
Yeah.
outside of that, I think UConn still wins this
one. I
one.
agree.
Take me back to Marquise Noella half-court lobs. Garrett,
Give me Michigan State. I don't know. I feel like something can come out of them. They've been a very exciting team all season. I feel like that.
yeah, I like Michigan State too.
Shrink.
Last game, Iowa State, the thin favorites, only by 3.5 against Tennessee. Tennessee, the 6th seed, not really supposed to be here, but they've played good. But I'm going to take Iowa State. I think Iowa State could even make a run to the Final Four. I think they're a good team, but I'm going to take Iowa State.
I also think Iowa State in this one. I know Joshua Jefferson's out, but Tennessee hasn't really been challenged yet. They had Miami of Ohio, a week 11 seed, and then they also, in my opinion, had the weakest 3 seed in Virginia. I think they could have been, I know their record was really good, but they're also in the ACC. I think they could have been on the 4 or 5 line. So I think Iowa State wins this one. Momcilovic, best 3-point shooter in the country.
I kind of have this as my kind of dark night pick. I think I'm gonna go with Tennessee.
Ooh.
Rick Barnes, he's already. How many years in a row have they been to the Sweet 16? I think 3 or 4.
It's been, yeah.
Yeah.
They've been on a crazy run. Rick Barnes knows what he's doing.
They don't do anything after that.
Yeah, keyword there is
They
Sweet
fall off.
16.
Iowa State doesn't have Joshua Jefferson, their best player. Momcilovic is a great player, one of the best, probably the best college shooter of all time, honestly.
Yeah.
But I just think that Nate Mint, with his size and his abilities, can really take them. And yeah, I think Rick Barnes gets it done.
I think Taman Lipsey too. He'll be able. I think he's going to be the X factor tonight or tomorrow night. I think he plays well. Iowa State plays well.
Garrett?
I'm going Iowa State. I feel like Tennessee was doing well, but I obviously they don't do too well after Sweet 16 stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of shot yourself in the foot there, Kyle, with that stat because they don't do anything
I mean, they
after
still
the Sweet 16.
making it to Sweet 16 is very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Yeah, for sure. All right. Those are the games. We got a great 2 days of basketball set up here. I'm really excited to watch some college basketball, and that will be it for us here today. Thank you Dayton. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Garrett.
Yes, sir.
And we'll see you guys in the next one.